Hi everyone, Teddy Baldassarre with TeddyBaldassarre.com. In this video, we're looking at a watch from Bulova with the A-15. So in this video and on this channel, we cover watches available for purchase on our website, TeddyBaldassarre.com, as a full authorized dealer. So in this video, full review of this timepiece. Also at the end, go through some final points of consideration, but at any point throughout the video you have further questions, check out the link in the description down below where you can learn more, purchase the watch, and book a time with one of our dedicated watch specialists as well. Guys, let's jump into the video, take a closer look at this watch. Back in 1944, Bulova developed and tested an aviation timepiece that featured the ability to easily measure elapsed time with two internally rotating discs that operated independently of each other, called the A-15 elapsed time watch. At the time, this feature helped resolve real issues pilots had on timing missions, and after the Second World War, it was thought that this model would make commercial sense. But the watch ultimately never made it to the market. Last year though, Bulova decided to introduce a new A-15 pilot model to commemorate the original creation, and today we're going to be taking a closer look at it. Looking at the A-15 on the wrists and starting with the measurements here, we have a case that measures at 42 millimeters in diameter, 14 millimeters thick, and some of that height due to a dome sapphire crystal with a lug-to-lug distance of 50.2 millimeters. In terms of the wearability on this one does wear pretty close to a 41 to 42 millimeter watch. The thickness isn't felt in its entirety because they do a pretty decent job of at least breaking up the side elements of the case with some different finishing techniques, but still, this is going to be a watch on the larger side of things, wearing closer to that of a true 42 millimeter diameter. Also adding into the wear are probably the main draw in terms of the functionality of this piece, with the 3 crowns on the side of the case on that right side. Just to speak about their functions, the central crown at the 3 o'clock position is going to be able to adjust the time. Also, hacking seconds is a function here, despite the Miyota movement on the inside, which is very nice to see. The crown at the 2 o'clock position is a 60-minute bi-directional bezel that is going to be very useful for timing different events. This actually has real-world functionality if you wanted to time something in your day-to-day life. Absolutely love this feature. And then at the 4 o'clock, you have the same type of functionality, set a little bit more inward on the dial itself, but a 12-hour disc that will rotate bi-directionally as well. In terms of functionality, this is quite useful. There are going to be quite a few people that are going to be able to utilize this in their day-to-day life. One thing to consider here is all of the crowns are not going to be screwed down, so there is some susceptibility to being knocked in certain circumstances, so just keep that in mind. That's of course going to be rare and rather extreme, but some people might be looking for screwed down crowns, especially when you deal with the fact that this only has 30 meters of water resistance, which is a bit of a bummer. The case is finished with a combination of horizontal brushing found at the midsection of that case and along each surface of the lugs, while the top half of the case, including the bezel, is polished, elevating the watch from a utilitarian tool aviator with some added additional flash. Nestled between the 20 millimeter lugs is a distressed brown genuine leather strap with a pin buckle at the opposite end also being signed. The strap is not going to require any breaking in whatsoever. It is quite pliable from day one and is actually quite comfortable as well. One thing to keep in mind though, it is going to be probably best suited for a larger wrist. There's not the adequate amount of holes for somebody that's going to be on the smaller side of things with their wrist size, so just keep that in mind. Certainly worthy of keeping in the rotation, but maybe you want to open it up to additional third-party options as well. Check out TeddyBaldassarre.com. Transitioning over to the dial, we are met with the double dome sapphire crystal, which opens up to the expansive matte black aviator dial below. Even without the 2 rotating discs, this dial is quite busy, but in general, Bulova does a good job of making the most out of the space available. White printing is found throughout the dial from the disc down through the railway Minitrack on the dial outskirts. The Arabic numerals for the hours printed are also white luminous paint that glows blue in the dark. Adding a splash of color to the dial is the second series of hour markers ranging from 13 to 24. Those are printed in yellow on the inside. Fully loomed cathedral hands tie the dial together and complement the hour markers, glowing in blue in the dark as well. While the color is pleasant, unfortunately the loom here is underwhelming and not the piece's strongest selling point. In its entirety though, this dial is essentially a 1-to-1 compared to the previous original version. It is going to be larger and more blown out, but in terms of staying true to the design format, this one certainly does that. Turning the watch over, we have a solid case back secured with 4 screws with plenty of space for engraving at the center. It protects though the Miyota 8.2 S6 automatic movement on the inside, a caliber from the Japanese powerhouse movement manufacturer, which is also owned by the Citizen Watch Group, features 42 hours of power reserve while beating away at 3 Hz, 21,600 vibrations per hour. Now, this family of movements has a listed accuracy range of -20 to +40 seconds a day, although we've seen much better performance out of these models as we've tested these in-house at a variety of different positions. But these are entry-level reliable movements from the well-known Miyota manufacturer. Like many other Miyota automatic movements, the applied finishing techniques on here are going to be minimal, with the exception of some vertical striping applied to the barrel bridge surface located beneath the skeletonized rotor. It is very nice as well to see that this movement is going to be featuring hacking. These watches were released pretty much alongside the Bulova hack watches, so it does make sense that these do feature that, but not every Bulova watch is going to have that feature, so great to see here because that also is in alignment with the military roots. But now to unpack, looking at this A-15 and where it sits within Bulova's collection as well as the entire market. In regards to what it is delivering for the price, I think it's a pretty nice and well-finished watch, and goes to show again, I think Bulova's untapped potential with their archive. As of late in the last few years, they've been shifting their focus, looking at these more vintage-inspired pieces that actually are true creations that they've made in the past, which I think they should just keep digging into because there's a lot of potential here, and I want to see them keep going this route. There are things that they certainly could improve: the water resistance, some just refinement with the crowns, and offering a bit more functionality and security. I also think that you probably should give some more consideration around the sizing and what is going to be the best fit. The originals were essentially 10 millimeters smaller than this watch, but overall, I think they've done a nice job putting this watch together. It has a different layout than many other pilot military style watches in the price category of around this $500 range. And if you're somebody that wants to dig into this world a little bit more, you like these field aviation style watches with actually true heritage behind them from a brand that was producing these watches for years and years, I think this is a nice and welcomed addition to the Bulova catalog. All right, guys, well, thank you again so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. That really does help out the channel. Also, if you're in the market for this watch, TeddyBaldassarre.com is a full authorized dealer of all the brands covered on this channel. Quick and fast fulfillment, dedicated customer support. We also offer a full factory warranty for all the products we carry, so if something goes wrong, you're not having to pay the bill for it. Also, we offer price match, so if you see one of our watches for cheaper at another authorized dealer, fill out the form, we'll get in touch with you, and 9 out of every $10 that we generate goes right back into the content that we're creating here, as well as on our main channel, trying to foster up a new generation of watch enthusiasts in the process. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.